Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Otaku, having coming at you with another anime episode review. Today I'll be reviewing episode 11 of Ajin. And in this episode, Mr. Sato went hard. Basically, this is definitely the best episode of the season. For sure, no doubt about it. But if you wanted to commit that kind of crime on that large of a scale with such limited supplies, this is obviously one of the best ways to do it because all you had to have access to do what Mr. Sato did was bombs, a truck that looks like a commercial service, and, costumes, outfits, as well as the guns that he's going to use for the fight, which, at least in America, really isn't hard to obtain, so it's a very real possibility that something like that could happen here. But let's hope that's not the case, ever, because we've already had something like 9/11 one time, and this is what it feels like this episode is relating like to me. It feels like it relates directly to 9/11 because what Mr. Sato did was he snuck into the basement of the towers, acting as a basic commercial service to renovate the pipes, the drainage pipes, and he went down there with all his equipment in like this container and a couple of dudes in there, and basically they planted bombs all over the floor. Then they escaped, and they were like, they didn't really escape. They walked out right in front of the guard again, even though they had no appointment. I mean, the guard just let him on through because one of the guys acted as if he was an underling. Basically, which he is an underling, but he had a cane walking around like he was hurt. So they were like, all right, well, he's pretty cool, and it sucks to be an underling, so I'm gonna let him on through. So they made it in. They planted the bombs, and then they walked out. It was like, all the service is done. So they had everything planned out. They basically drove away and then split off into separate areas. Mr. Sato did something really unique though. He walked up in the place through like a back door or something, shot the teller, shot the or the clerk that checks everyone in, and another guy, rode the elevator all the way up to the top, stood on the very top balcony looking out over everything, smiling. And he's said earlier that when he plays the game, he plays it on hard difficulty for maximum thrill. And he rode the motherfucking thing all the way down the skyscraper as it fell. So basically, he only planted bombs on the base of it. So unlike, 9/11, it didn't collapse all the way straight down. It collapsed on the base and then fell over, effectively killing even more people, which, really sucks. It's really bad and messed up. But, I mean, his plan was ingenious as if he wanted to, do that. So he went out and he did that. By the way, I'm not promoting doing any of that. Don't do any of that ever. That's terrible. And moving along, just talking about the episode here. And he basically came up with the most efficient plan and the most efficient way that you could possibly do it, and mass murdered millions. I'm not saying millions, but he mass murdered thousands of people at least. Had to be in that huge ass thing, and the boss didn't want to send, and he was a skyscraper, and the boss didn't want to send home any of the workers. There were guards outside. There were people most likely near the tower. So, and all definitely people in the buildings around the tower. So it's definitely killed thousands of people. And at one point, Kay was basically talking to the guy he had locked up down there, and he was thinking about actually going to save them. And the dude just like, we should fight. That's all we can do. If they can go hard as agents, we can go hard too. He's like, think about this for just a second in your measly little brain. He's obviously had a lot of military combat experience, and we have none. If we just fight, we're going to lose. So there was really nothing Kay and them could do about it. They would just blow their cover if they were to go in and try to stop Sato. But it would have showed the people, at least, the people that are watching at the very end, that, some agents are actually trying to help. Not all of them are barbaric and savages, which is most likely what they'll see the agents as now. But Mr. Sato has a plan to stop that. He says I think it's the Special Defense Forces. Yeah, the special. That's not the Special Defense Forces. They're the weaker ones because they have no combat experience. But the Police Special Assault Force is the most combat inclined in Japan at the time. Basically, they have experience with domestic and counterterrorism type combat, so they really know how to handle this type of thing because it is terrorism. So he's live streaming this. He's like, well, if I beat these guys, then we'll ask Japan who they're going to side with, the agent or the people. because if he defeats them, then that makes them the strongest army. Well, the Ajin's the strongest army in the country. So we're left off at the very end where the Ajin's fighting the SPAF, or the PSAF, Police Special Assault Force, and that's what's going to determine who's the top dog. Obviously, it's going to be the Ajin. Most likely, this is going to be an anime that goes international. If basically they want to continue it, unless they just want to end it on a 12 episode, which I seriously doubt they're going to do, because I'm pretty sure the manga's still going, unless they lose to the PSAF. So that's a very real possibility. They could lose and still escape, and then still be alive, and the anime can continue in just Japan alone. But there's obviously Ajin in another country. We've already seen an express interest from America, and Tozaki basically realized that he lost that battle, and it's just the beginning of it. The scientists were really freaking out, and they're like, Tozaki, well, I guess we lost. They wanted to deploy the Special Agent Defense Unit, Special Agent Defense Unit, but they couldn't do that because the military guy was under pressure for not doing that in front of the public because the very existence of it is illegal. And if they kind of like sent them guys out, then that would pretty much confirm, yeah, we've been doing agent experiments. We even have these guys to deal with agents. They know how to kill the agents. They know how to subdue the agents. They know how to do all these things. So obviously they'll be like, oh, well, if they know how to do that, then they figured that out from, torturing them to figure out how to take them down. And, the pharmaceutical place is a very good place to hit because they were the ones experimenting on them with experimental drugs instead of using them like animals or something like that, which is still pretty bad. But obviously, that is the lesser of the two evils when putting it on a human. So that's the reason we still do that today, even though it's extremely bad. But that's why they attacked the pharmaceutical company, and that makes very good sense. And we're left off with who is trying to control Japan at this point, who will wind up in Japan's control. We'll figure that out. Who will wind up in control of Japan. We'll figure that out next episode. But overall, this episode was amazing. I just didn't find anything wrong with it. Chock full of action, chock full of plot progression. Character progression on Mr. Sato about how he likes to handle things a lot. We got to see Kay was still interested in helping him, but he didn't want to help without a plan. And that guy down there in the well just really couldn't come up with a plan. He even cares about him a little bit because, he went out and got the manga that he requested instead of like a magazine to read that's pretty much garbage. And he had his person he's living with, wouldn't buy him an iPhone and like looked like a rope or something else. So he had some kind of plan he was experimenting with. It's gonna be interesting to see what that was. But she's just doing all this stuff for him for pretty much nothing. You gotta figure or wonder what exactly she wants from it. Is it just she wants some company? She's old and nobody really wants to talk to her anymore or something. She's really lonely or something. That's why she wants Kay there, and she's willing to spend all the stuff on him and even protect him against the government. Well, not really protect him, but like hide him out against the government. Which, if I'm not mistaken, I know it's a crime in America. It's got to be a crime in Japan, because we're very similar countries. But overall, yeah, this episode's a 10 out of 10. I didn't find anything wrong with it. That's all, guys. Peace.